Alright, this is going to be a demonstration for how to use the pencil in Adobe Illustrator. So, we're going to be learning basically a new program with Adobe Illustrator. So, you should have a icon on the docs. It should say AI. Also, you can pull up if you go into the Finder, go to Applications, scroll up here. It should say Adobe Illustrator 2020. But yeah, you're going to click on this to get into Adobe Illustrator. So, this is to get into the program, but there's going to be a specific file I'm going to have you guys download on Classroom. Now, you don't have it on Classroom yet, but basically you're going to click on this pen tool exercise 1. Okay, and basically we're going to just practice tracing these lines. So unlike Photoshop though, Adobe Illustrator works very differently. Some of the commands are the same though, but if you hit Command and press plus, that zooms in. Command minus zooms out. So you have to zoom in on this, and also use the hand tool. So you can actually press H to pull up your hand tool. For some reason it's not pulling up on mine, but we'll just click on the hand tool just to get to it. So the hand tool kind of just moves over to the 4 different sections of lines that you'll trace. All right, so just like I stated before, though, this program is very different from Photoshop. Instead of drawing lines with the paintbrush, the best way of using the Adobe Illustrator though is going to be using this pencil here. Okay, but the pencil is going to give you some really accurate lines. But in order to get those accurate lines though, we had to learn how to use the pencil. Okay, but we're never going to use the paintbrush tool or the curvature tool. It's all going to be the pen tool for at least like the next project that we'll be doing, because we're going to be doing like basically a portrait drawing using the pencil. Yeah, we're gonna click on the pen tool though, and basically what you can do is just trace these green lines. So there's gonna be a couple of hotkeys I want you guys to keep in mind of. One of them is gonna be P is gonna pull the pen tool, V selections, A is direct selection tool. Well, I'll give you guys like a list of the different hotkeys though. But just gonna practice just tracing these lines. Because you want to have be able to have full control of drawing with the pen tool. Unlike Photoshop where you can use the tablet or the mouse, it's kind of hard to create lines with the tablet or mouse, especially if you've never used the tablet before. It does take a lot of practice with it. This one's a little bit more easier to use. But it's just you have to understand how the program works. Alright, but it's pretty easy though. You're going to, there's actually a couple things I want you to change. So make sure to click on this white box here. And I might actually change it on your computer, but you just make sure this is crossed out red. And this should be with a black on it. This is like your stroke and then your fill. Alright, so yeah, to get started though, you're just going to click on these points. It's pretty easy. And the nice thing about the new Photoshop is it actually tells you these specific points. So these are like anchor points. So it's pretty much like the initial points you're clicking to create the lines. And you just click on those anchor points to just trace the lines. So number 1 is pretty easy though. Once you get to the last one, it gets a little bit harder. And if you want to change the size of your stroke, you can go to Windows, Stroke. And this will give you the ability to change the stroke. If you want to change it to 3, you can make it a little bit thicker, thinner. It's gonna be up to you. Okay, so I'm just gonna continue this line here and go all the way to the end. Okay, now when you get to the next part though, you're gonna have to deselect the the line or the point that you made. So you're gonna have to hold Command Shift and then the A, and that'll just deselect for you. Okay, real important though, make sure to learn this command right away, Command Shift A. This is gonna make the first part go by real quick. Okay, part of the Illustrator program that's real important is being able to effectively not only use the program but use it quick and efficient. So I want you to be efficient with your practice. Okay, and the only way you can be efficient though is using the hotkey. So you hold Command Shift A, that'll deselect though, and that's the quicker way of doing it. So make the line, Command Shift A, make the line, Command Shift A, and you get the idea though. Now, if you didn't want to use Command Shift A though, you would have to click on the selection tool. Then you have to go back to the pen tool, and then that's just kind of like a pain to do if you have to do it the slower way. Okay, but if you, for some reason though, you can't use the hotkeys, this is like how it would work though. You just have to click back and forth on the toolbar. So my suggestion is make your line, hold Command Shift A, and you can make the next line. Okay, especially when you can do these vertical lines, you want to just be real quick with it. Be quick, but be precise though. It's not gonna be a race though to do this practice, but I want you to get really comfortable with the Adobe Illustrator. At least how to use the pencil, because the pencil is going to be like the foundations for how to draw with this program. Okay, now if some of the lines are off, it's not a big deal. I know, like I could tell, like if even though it's a little off, I can tell that you know how to trace those lines. It's not that big of a deal. So just moving on to the next part, I'm going to press the H for the hand tool, move it over here, Command plus to zoom in. Now you're going to do curvatures for this. So this is pretty easy. You just click on one point here, and then you click on the end point here, and you click and drag to create your line. Okay, so this is going to be how you're going to create your curves in the picture. Okay, so same thing like we did before though. Hold Command Shift A as an apple to move on to the next line. So one point here, one point at the end. You're going to trace the line. Okay, Command Shift A, one point here, over here, and Command Shift A. Okay, and a couple of things too. If you actually have this fill on by accident, I just want to show you guys like what happens if you were to have that fill on. So when you guys make your curves with this part here, it's going to basically kind of like fill in the spot in between the first point and the second point of the curve. So that's why it's real important to turn that off. When we do trace your portraits though, we are going to be using the fill more than the outline. But that'd be for later though. So just click on one point here, click on end, click and drag, hold the mouse button. That should be the left mouse button, and you're gonna let it go. And pretty easy though. One point here, one point there, drag, and Command Shift A to finish. All right, so moving on to the next one, freeform curves. Okay, so same thing though. You're going to look carefully at these specific points, and you're going to go click on the first point, second point, drag. Oops, I kind of messed up. So if you mess up, it's really easy. Just do Command Z to undo your command, and you can actually undo up to 20 commands in Illustrator. So that this program lets you undo like a lot of mistakes real quickly. So it's just like your Photoshop. That's a quick way of undoing your problems. So you can either do that, or you can press the delete key to get rid of the points. So that's two ways of erasing the lines. Okay, but my suggestion though is there is an eraser tool on here. Don't use the eraser tool because it's just this is kind of clunky to use it. Like I had to actually like erase the line to get rid of it. If you erase parts of it though, it's gonna just still keep some of those points. So just use the delete key to erase, or or use Command Z to undo your last mistake. So those are two ways of cleaning up your mistakes. Probably at this point though, this is where you may start making mistakes in your lines. But you're gonna click and hold, make your mouse button, just like before, click and hold from the next point, and it should perfectly line up fine with this line here. But you just want to make sure to look carefully at these key points. So these points that we're making, these are called anchor points. So these anchor points are basically the the lines, and if it's a little off, it's fine. It's not a big deal. Just keep going with it. All right, and then Command Shift A. I'm just gonna stop there. And then this one is gonna be a little more challenging. You have to like figure out like the points though. But I'd suggest going halfway to create your lines to do this part. Okay, that's what's going to make it a little easier, but you want to use that graph though to help you with making the line. So, again, if it doesn't work like the way that you want it, then try a different point here. So, like for example, like this one here. Actually, I think all these work out pretty well though. Whoops. So I accidentally deselected though. You can actually click on. So actually, deselected this line here. But if you click on the point again over here, you can continue that line again easily. Okay, so if you actually deselect it, you can always click on the point to continue it. Okay, but you're just gonna go through it though. I always suggest going halfway to get it looking correct. But use the graph though to help you with that part. And then the last part, and this is gonna be basically how you will trace all your lines from here on out. This one you're gonna have to, kind of like figure out the points on your own. So, the way you're gonna do that though is, use the wrong one, this pencil. You're gonna click here, click there, make your line. And see if I continue with that line though, it's gonna like not work though. So if I try my best to make it work, it's not going to work. Okay, so I'm just gonna undo that last point that I made here. So in order to get this to work though, you're gonna have to click on the last anchor point that you made. So when you click on that point though, it's gonna get rid of that extra curve that you don't need. So you make your line, click on the last point, click and drag, and click on the last point. So you're gonna have to do this for all of the anchor points in order to trace the last part. So I'm just clicking on the last point, and so this one I don't think I can do it in one curve. So I'm gonna have to undo that though. But I have to click on the point here, make one point here, curve there, click on the last point, click here and drag to make your lines. Okay, well, I'm not going to do it all the way though, but you get the idea though. Whoops, got a little weird over there. So I'm just doing Command Z to undo all that. I actually forgot to click on the last point over there. So, just take your time though, but just make sure you're using all the hotkeys that we mentioned before. All right. You gotta always click on the last point and then click and drag to make the next point. Otherwise, if you try to get it to work, it's not going to look the way that you want it to look. All right. Okay. Now, two things that I don't want to see with your lines though is I don't want to see you making your lines like this, or you click and make your points. This doesn't look good when you get the work, or even like doing like small curves, like I'm doing like one curve here, one curve there, one here. You want to try to use as few points as you can, or few anchor points as you can to make your lines. Okay, but if I show you this here, like so this is like the line that I made, trying to try to cheat try cheating it a little bit, try and go quick and not really thinking carefully about like the lines and curves that I make. But if you use the tool properly, you try to use as few points as you can. So you make one curve there, click on the other point, make one here, make another one over here. This is gonna look a lot more cleaner as opposed to doing it the other way. And in some cases, I'm actually working a lot quicker because there's a lot less points I have to click, so it's a lot easier to do that. So if you look at this line and that line, and I'm gonna zoom it in for you. That's kind of the interesting thing about the pencil is you can make these lines and you can move them around like this. But if you look at this line compared to the other one I did here before, you can see a difference though. Like this is so clean and crisp. This one's like so jagged. Okay, this is like something you don't want to do. But you want to make sure it's nice and clean when you make your lines.